News of the weird. Matthew Davies, 47, of Dunfermline, Scotland, pleaded guilty on January 17th to assault and robbery in the case of a bumbling Bank of Scotland holdup in September, the Daily Record reported. On that day, Davies charged into the bank with a meat cleaver in hand and a pillowcase over his head. Unfortunately, he had neglected to cut eye holes in the pillowcase and therefore couldn't see, so he had to take it off. Undeterred, Davies used the cleaver to batter a glass partition on the counter and eventually took off with almost 2,000 pounds, casually wandering home, even stopping to pet a dog along the way. One brave customer of the bank followed Davies to his home and alerted the police that they found the cash in the pillowcase along with the stun gun. He'll be sentenced in February. I wonder if he ended up getting to remain out of prison. Fetishes. On Christmas Eve, a man in Bradenton, Florida, woke up to find an intruder in his room. It wasn't Santa Claus, and the victim was awakened by a man sucking on his toes. According to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, the victim demanded to know what the man was doing, and the suspect simply responded he was there to suck toes. In the ensuing fight, deputies said the suspect claimed to have a gun, but the victim managed to force him out of the home, where he thwarted toe sucker, smashed a window in the home, and destroyed the windshield of the victim's car before leaving. The Bradenton Herald reported officers were unable to locate the suspect using a canine, so they took DNA samples from the man's toes, and the incident is still under investigation. How crazy would it be if he did that to himself? Chutzpah. Journalist Vladimir, you guys can try that, 41, of Moscow, Russia, came across a painting he made when he was just 6 years old and decided he ought to sell it. Oddity Central reported. It soon got a lot of attention after he posted it January 13th on the Russian classified site Avito with an asking price of 140 million rubles, or $2.3 million. Mr. Vladimir defended the price, telling Russian media the painting, titled Red Army Man on Horse, reflects the realities of the Soviet era through the eyes of a child. I put all my soul and all my childhood delight into it. As you know, the artist's hand is guided by God, which means he liked it so much. The price is extremely low for such an artwork, he gushed. Weird science. On January 22nd, the National Weather Service expanded its cold weather warnings in South Florida to include falling iguanas along with falling temperatures. According to the Associated Press, the National Weather Service alerted folks that the reptiles can become stunned by the cold and fall from their perches in trees. As temperatures rise during the day, they wake up unharmed. Males can grow up to 5 feet long and weigh 20 pounds. They aren't considered to be dangerous to humans unless they land on your head. Animal Farm. A Polish pig farmer in his 70s who had been missing since December 31st is believed to have been eaten by his livestock, Fox News reported. Lubin District Prosecutor Magdalena Serafin told local media the farmer's remains, consisting of bones and skull fragments, were found by a neighbor who called police after spotting the bones while fetching water from a nearby well on January 8th. The farmer's animals were roaming freely in the yard, and officials indicated it was clear that the pigs had feasted on him. They suspect he died of a fall or a heart attack. Oops. In Toronto, the streetcar tunnel into Queensquay Station is protected by an automatic gate, rumble strips, flashing lights, and signs warning automobile drivers not to enter. But at 2 a.m. on January 22nd, one driver managed to ignore or overlook all the warnings, driving his car about 600 meters through the tunnel before arriving at Union Station and becoming stuck on a concrete block. We're sort of hard-pressed to think of any other measures we can take at this point to deter drivers, a spokesman for the Toronto Transit Commission said, short of closing the tunnel, and that's not an option. News that sounds like a joke. If you always thought those nail clippers in your kitchen drawer were a harmless tool, think again. Kathleen Ayala, actually back that up. Let me rephrase that. If you've always thought those nail clippers in your top desk drawer at GKN were a harmless tool, think again. Kathleen Ayala, 30, has been charged with murder in Cumberland County, New Jersey, following an altercation with her husband on January 12th, the Associated Press reported. Authorities said Ayala of Millville and 35-year-old Axel Torres got into an argument in their home that became physical, and Torres left the premises. Ayala chased after him and stabbed him numerous times with the nail file tool on the clippers, causing wounds to his feet, hand, shoulder, and left leg. When police arrived, they found Torres unresponsive and transported him to the hospital, where he died the next morning. Holy cow. Died? Alright, last but not least. Awesome. Downtown Winston-Salem, North Carolina is a little safer these days thanks to the efforts of Night Watch, a helpful vigilante dressed in all black with his face partially covered and wearing reflective goggles, WGHP reported on January 22nd. I'm not looking to be a Batman and go around beating up criminals, he told a reporter. Instead, he's an anonymous superhero who's been patrolling the nighttime streets for about a month, hauling around a bag filled with food, clothing, and toiletries for those in need. There's no prerequisite for being a good person, Night Watch said. On that night, he helped out about a dozen homeless people in the community. It's just nice that people aren't totally freaked out. Now they know who I am and that I'm here trying to help. That is news of the weird for this week, guys. Say hi to Rai Rai. And just know that I miss ya. Hopefully you're doing good.